you can't be like, oh, I'm an advocate for women's boxing, but then try to on me. Like it doesn't go together. That's like me trying to, talk down about other female fighters. It's like, no, when you're an advocate for women's boxing, you want to be there and support all the girls who are working their way up. Like, I can't be like, since I don't like her, I'm not going to. It's like, I try to support everybody. Yes, he's pushing Amanda Serrano, but he also needs to push other women fighters too.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this very special all-women's edition of the Dazn Boxing Show. Of course, we're celebrating the International Women's Day, and because of that, we have the attendance and the presence of greatness in boxing. I'm going to start with Miss Clarissa Shields, two-time Olympic gold medalist and two-division undisputed world champion. Cenesa Estrada, Miss Superbad, WBA minimum weight champion, and Alicia Baumgartner, WBC and IBO super featherweight champion. In 30 years of boxing, I have yet to see so much beauty all together. So today for Women's International Day, we're not just celebrating, we're also reflecting on women and how hard it is to achieve not only greatness, but just start with the basic minimum: equality, equal opportunity, only to just get to be the maximum of our potential. And that's why we decided to bring in these beautiful ladies, because they actually domain and control perhaps the most male-dominated sport, hands down, in the world, none other than boxing. And of course, we got to start with Clarissa. And basic question: what does the International Women's Day mean to you?
It's a lot that it means to me. One, it's so many women who I look up to. I think a representation is everything, and when I first started boxing, it wasn't any woman who I looked up to. I was more of looking up to like Serena Williams and Beyonce, and I just wanted to be as great as them in my sport, but have like the notoriety and the respect that they have in their field. So Women's Day is just, I feel like, women just being a representation for each other in their sports, and just giving all of us that voice. So when one of us has a voice, it gives a chance for the other one to have a voice, and to build those girls from the bottom and kind of build them up. So that's what it means to me.
And Cenesa, you're one of the younger ones coming up, and when we see opportunities that are being opened, what does this mean to you, especially when we celebrate the International Women's Day?
Yeah, it means everything to me, because I started boxing when I was 8 years old. So it was at a time where I watched women's boxing at its lowest. I watched it basically when women's boxing didn't even exist. Nobody knew that it existed. So to see how far women's boxing has come has just been so incredible. And, Women's Day is just a reminder that every day of the year we should support one another and be proud of everything we've accomplished, show girls and women all the roles that they can be involved in, and show them all of the different career paths that they can choose from. And I have 3 nieces who play sports, so every day I feel like it's my responsibility to show them that they can accomplish anything they dream of, whether it's in a male-dominated career or not.
And Alicia, you are also one of those that have opportunities to take not 1 but 2 belts home. And when we walk into a day like March 8th, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot. Again, just being a woman, period, and just being able to walk in the confidence that we have, being able to go into a gym and sometimes be the only woman, and just being dominant in what we do, and not even putting a gender on it, just being us, being who we are as individuals, and just, again, proving ourselves and just saying, hey, we belong here, we work hard, we dominate, and we look good doing it. So
you touched upon a very important subject, just getting that credibility and walking into a gym must not have been easy, especially because you guys started so young. So what actually not only influenced you and inspired you to walk into the gym, but understand that you were going to be facing some pushback?
For me, I started wrestling first. So again, that was all boys. So I wrestled boys. And so for me, that built confidence, that built competition. And so when I went to boxing, I'm like, well, this is nothing new. This is a different sport, but it's nothing new because I'm still competing against my male counterparts, right? So for me, it was like, I'm here. I know what hard work is. I understand what it is to not be separated, but do the same work that the men are doing. And it shows in my work ethic. So I believe that that's just the confidence that I carry from wrestling into the sport of boxing, and just carry that. And that confidence is what made me who I am today.
Yeah, I think it's just I having so much passion for the sport. Like, I started boxing at 8, but at 6 years old, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. And I had all of these such big goals and big dreams for myself at 6 years old, not even realizing that boxing was a male dominated sport. I didn't know how difficult it was going to be. I was just a kid with a dream. And when I started boxing and I started to realize how difficult it was and all these obstacles that I had to overcome, it was super discouraging. And at times, I wanted to give up and I wanted to quit. But of course, having my dad in my life as a trainer has been like he's been the biggest influence, because all the times that I wanted to give up and I wanted to quit, all the times that I cried and said, I can't do this anymore, he was always there to just keep encouraging me and keep pushing me. So I'm thankful for that. And I think I just had so much passion for it that no matter how difficult it became and how many obstacles I had to cross, I was like, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing this and keep believing in myself, because I know that one day women's boxing will get to where I know it's going to be, and stays a day. And it's just going to continue to keep growing. And it's so great to see.
When I first started boxing, it was due to a bet. One of my best friends bet me that I couldn't do, that I wouldn't last in his boxing program for a week. And, meeting my dad, when he told me that he was a boxer, I really started boxing so my dad can live some of his life through me. It wasn't even something that I really I had gotten to fights when I was younger, but it was like boxing, like as a sport, it was just like, I just wanted to do something. But when I found that my dad was a boxer and I love my dad so much, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to box to make my dad happy. I didn't know that boxing would bring me so much joy. When I first walked in the gym, it was all boys in there. And I just remember seeing 2 guys in the ring sparring. And my first thought to myself was like, oh, I can't wait to do that. That's all I was thinking. I wasn't scared or nothing. So within the first 2 months, that's when I got the most pushback, like maybe my first 2 weeks. But I kind of made my presence felt because I was the hardest worker. I was the only girl, but I was the hardest worker. I had the big baggy clothes. I had the afro. I spoke just like them. I would fight them outside the ring. If they said something to me, I'd say something to them. But it was like, I kind of just fit right in. And then the first time after I sparred in 2 months, I sparred against a guy who had been in the gym since he was 6 years old. And he had been boxing for 5 years, and I had to spar against him. And I beat him up, right? And so that gave me so much confidence. And from that moment, there was no pushback. It was a little different for me. Like, at the gym, I was the best fighter in the gym. I was the hardest worker. I was the best fighter. And people always be like, she fight like a boy. She fight like a man. And that's just how it was when I was in the amateurs. And then, just in the pros, when I turned pro with the 2 Olympic gold medals, of course, it was like stuff was already kind of set in place for me and everything was going smooth until it was like, now you want to break that barrier, right? Like, I want to get paid more than $350K. I want you guys to promote my fight more than 4 weeks. I want the commercials. I want all this stuff that the men get. And then when I started getting pushback, that's when I realized, oh shoot, like women's boxing has been being extremely overlooked. And so now that I'm in the position that I'm in, I always feel like I'm always having to not only big myself up, the greatest woman of all time, but it's like, other women deserve to get paid money too. So, you know, I'll be telling all the girls too at the top, like, make your demands, you know, and that's where the pushback has come from. But now I've finally gotten over that to where it's like, okay, I got a 7-figure deal now, but it's like, how do you capitalize off that 7-figure deal? And I really just don't want to do it for me. Like, I want to make so much money that I can say, hey, Sanisia's fighting for a world championship, should be no less than $1 million. Alicia's fighting for world championships, undisputed, no more, you know, no less than $1 million. And I want it to be like a thing where it happens all the time, to where it's like, oh, not only am I making a lot of money, but I want the other girls, so we can keep building, and the girls coming up under us can make that. So right now, I'm just in a position where it's like, I have the biggest voice, but it's like, I could just be like, forget that. As long as I'm making money, I don't have to mention the other girls. But it's like, no, I tell all the girls, get your stuff in order. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, build your brand. So once you have that breakout moment, the fans can figure out who you are, and they can get behind you, and they can push for you. But that's been the biggest thing right now, is just the equal pay. It's like finally getting over that, but still, I gotta demand more.
You know what? Tennis was the first one to break ground on that. Then golf. Then slowly but surely things are gonna get there. But one of my biggest
soccer.
Yes, soccer finally, but they had to go to the court for that. You know, but
and we may have to go to court, ladies.
I'm ready.
Bring it on, ladies. Bring it on. You know, another thing is, I have a pet peeve when people go, "Oh, girl fighters." It's like, no, a fighter is a fighter is a fighter. Alicia, I could see you jumping into that. Girl fighters. What? Talk to me.
Listen, yes, I think it's a fighter, first of all. And then I think when they put emphasis, for me at least, when they say girls, we're women stepping in there. You're not saying the boys are stepping in the ring. We're women, we're stepping in the ring. Let's change that dialogue sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But we're fighters, you know, we're just like the men, but we're just two different anatomies. That's the difference. Okay?
And we can't let that continue to be the excuse as to why we don't get equal pay and to why we're not televised, because, oh, you're women, it's women's boxing. Like, no, times are changing. Women's boxing is not the way it was when I was 8 years old, 15 years old. Like, it's different. And we need to, people just need to come to the realization, boxing promoters, networks, they need to just come to the realization that women's boxing is growing and it's changing, and we're here to stay.
In my years of coverage, I've seen major segue being made. We're on the verge of getting equal pay. Women are getting the platforms, the important platforms. We're now headlining important bout cards. But from your standpoint, Anissa, what's good for you right now and what is not so good for you right now? What needs improvement?
Equal pay, for sure. That's something that I'm constantly fighting for every fight.
Still.
And yes, still. And I feel like when it comes to, I don't know if you know, Clarissa and Alicia feel the same way, but like every promoter always makes you feel like you should just be grateful for just you know, getting the opportunity to be signed and for making what you're making right now. Like, you're women, you know, you guys are women, so, you know, you should just be grateful that you're even at this point right now. Like, no.
Crazy.
No, women's sports, the world is changing. Sports is changing for women. Everything's changing for women. And no, we're not gonna settle for that. We're gonna keep on fighting until we get what we want and what we deserve. So that's something that I'm still always struggling to get.
Do you guys think the 3-minute thing is an issue, Clarissa? You've spoken a few times about that.
Championship rounds matter. I'm 12-0, right? But I have 2 knockouts. And people say like, oh, punching power, oh, knockouts. And it's like, but the truth is, I have 2 less rounds and also 24 minutes compared to 36 minutes. The men have to knock somebody out. So it's like, I'm not the only woman who they say that about. It's a lot of other women who they say, oh, she don't have knockout power because she's 12-0 with 2 knockouts. And it was like, but nobody's saying that about the men, and they literally have 36 minutes. And like, to me, it matters, right? Because I'm in a gym sparring against the men for 3-minute rounds, but for some reason they're saying that, oh, but you're not
knocking out
enough.
anybody.
Yeah,
right.
And my argument,
like, well, it's a level of competition too, but still, it's like, that's why I think equal pay is needed, because you can't say that women's boxing is less than men's boxing if they won't even put us on the same time and let us prove ourselves, because I guarantee women, we overwork and we're going to throw more punches. It's going to be more power shots. It's going to be more jabs. And to see the equalness of it, they will understand, like, stop saying women's boxing and men's boxing. It's boxing. We all have to work just as hard to be in shape. We have the same amount of time. And that's why I feel like women's boxing, women's MMA is more respected than women's boxing, because the equal fight time. That's why it matters to me. But also, they want us to fight 3 minutes, which they don't. But it's like, we should be gunning for that, because now we can really say, look, pay us equal because we fight equal.
I've had some ladies say to me, why am I going to risk myself an extra minute per round if I'm not getting paid? But why are we going to get paid if you're not fighting the same amount of time? So here comes, what's first?
That's where I'm at. Yeah.
I definitely say that it's yes and no. For if you want me to fight 3 minutes, I need to be paid more, period. In 2 minutes, we are high active fighters. Knockouts can come in 2 minutes. If you want to see more, then give us 12 2-minute rounds. Cool. I'm fine with fighting 2 minutes, because I can prove in the 2 minutes.
That's huge right there. Give us the championship rounds. And that's where I've been with it at. Like, if the champions right now fight 12 2-minute rounds, at least we have round 11 and 12. And we can let the girls coming up after us fight for the extra minute.
Right.
They'll be like conditioned from the amateurs to the pros, because it's different.
It's going to be hard to get that changed, completely changed, just because, there's women 50% saying they would rather fight 2 minutes. And then there's another 50% saying we want to do 3 minutes. So I've been dealing with that in every fight, where I just I have Golden Boy ask the organization and ask the
WBC
state,
particularly.
Yes. So as long
because you fought Marlene 3-minute rounds, I was there.
Yes.
And personally, after, I was talking to Mauricio Suleiman, right? And I'm like, hey, what'd you think? Senicia fought and Marlene fought 3-minute rounds. And he was like, oh, I don't know. I'm just like, dude, what are you talking about? You got an extra minute of freaking greatness. What are you talking about?
Yes. And it was time enough to develop. It was time enough to develop
that. Yes. So every organization has been okay with it, like the WBO, WBA, IBF, as long as all sides agree. And as long as all sides agree, the opponent agrees, the commission agrees, then they'll allow it. But it's the WBC that still is saying that I don't know.
Oh no! I am going to say this,
but it's like, okay, what doctors are you talking to? Like
I don't
doctor
know.
in
They sent me a
Mexico
package
who doesn't even have like an actual degree.
I got a package this big of research and documentation, and the doctors. I'm like, I don't know who these doctors are. I don't. But anyway, the truth is, boxing is changing.
At this point, if they wanted to do research, use us boxers now. We're the ones setting the foundation for these younger fighters. Use us.
My
do the research
gracious. I've been saying that for the longest. Like back then, women's boxing was like a hobby. It's like girls really have this is our life. I'm in a gym when I gotta fight, when I don't gotta fight. I'm working out every day.
It's your life.
Y'all need to test us. Exactly. Like those girls were doing it as like a hobby. They were great, but it's like, no, it's our actual career. Like I don't work a job. Boxing is my job.
When we talk about change, we also see new waves of how to do business in boxing, because we cannot talk about boxing without the business end. I know, Carissa, you've had somewhat of interesting exchanges with Mr. Jake Paul. I know. But the truth is, he has brought new blood, a new way of presenting things. I want to know how you ladies feel about him. And I'm going to start with you, Carissa.
Yeah.
Well, I love Amanda Serrano. That's it, right? And the fact that he's helping her makes him be more likable to me. Our beef came from his disrespect to me. Like you can't, jump on the internet talking trash about me losing an MMA split decision, but not ever say, hey, champ, congrats on winning your boxing matches on the sport that you've been doing for 15, 16 years. So it's like, to me, he needs to one, apologize for disrespecting me, and then two, give me my respect in boxing, because I am head honcho, I am leading the way, I am the trailblazer, and I've worked my ass off to be where I am. So if he can't give me that respect, we'll never be friends. But he kind of apologized and want to work together, but it's like, an apology is an apology. And so you disrespected me publicly, so apologize publicly. You can't be like, oh, I'm an advocate for women's boxing, but then try to on me. Like, it doesn't go together. That's like me trying to, talk down about other female fighters. It's like, no, when you're an advocate for women's boxing, you want to be there and support all the girls who are working their way up. Like, I can't be like, since I don't like her, I'm not going to it's like, I try to support everybody. Yes, he's pushing Amanda Serrano, but he also needs to push other women fighters too.
A fighter is a fighter.
And that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
And now I have to bring perhaps one of the most painful comments I've ever heard. And it came from Bob Arum when he said that, women's boxing, nobody wants to watch women's boxing. When you hear that, Sinesa, knowing the struggles and the hardships and, you coming from deep roots in boxing, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I actually, I felt for Michaela because, he has a champion in Michaela. And it was kind of like when he said that he forgot, or he did not have her in mind at all. But,
happens
Michaela,
when you're 150 years old.
Yes, but Michaela deserves that respect and that recognition, and women's boxing does. And I understand what he was trying to say. Of course, it didn't come out right, but he's trying to say that there's still a lot of people who don't care about women's boxing, and that is true. Honestly, keep it real. It is true. There's a lot of people who do not care about women's boxing, but there is a lot of people now who do, and who are starting to, because of women like us who are leading the way and showing that women can really fight and that are entertaining. So like I said, women's boxing is not where it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Definitely not.
It's
20 years ago.
20 years ago. Yeah. So I'm sure, Bob's he's been in boxing for so long. So he's seen where he's saw where it started, which was, nowhere and non-existent. And now to where it's at today, he should definitely, his mind should be changing as far as what he thinks about women's boxing and about people not being interested in it. It's changed so much, and there's a lot of people who are interested. And we've gotten, I myself personally, and I know the girls have also changed people's minds about women's boxing, changed the minds of men about women's boxing. Like the public, they want to watch. Most men who wouldn't be interested in women's boxing want to watch us fight because they know that we're going to fight our asses off and that we're entertaining.
That's why I'm so excited about the progress in boxing, because as we talk about the opportunities, Dazn will be featuring a main event, and it's going to be perhaps one of the most competitive up front and center fights that we've had. We just talked about the accolades that somebody like Amanda Serrano has, but we have Katie Taylor defending, all the way from the other side of the ocean, coming to none other than Madison Square Garden. Alicia, when you see this, and we just had these conversations about the Jake Pauls of the world and the Bob Arums and how the juxtaposition in which they are. And now we have Dazn coming with Eddie Hearn and showcasing extraordinary talent as a main event.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. So first of all, Eddie Hearn just representing women's boxing and really pushing the issue and saying, hey, like, the women are just as good as the men. So let's make this happen. Let's put it at the Madison Square Garden. Let's make a main event card. And I think that's awesome. He is setting the platform at the highest level, not here, but at the highest. They're in New York. So I think this is going to just prove so much to so many people that the numbers are going to be high. Seats are going to be sold out. The fight is going to be action packed. These are great two fighters fighting against each other. These fighters have been in the sport. They just haven't been able to get, again, that recognition, the highest of the highest recognition, to perform at the highest level. They're at the Madison Square Garden. Like, that's amazing.
Know.
And
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Can I put this in perspective? This is the first time we have a main event of ladies at Madison Square Garden in the Cathedral of Boxing. That's so how important this moment. But with that being said, I grew up with the Thrilla of Manila and Rumble in the Jungle. There's a lot of weight that comes in those events. The spotlight is on those events. Mm-hmm. How much pressure do you think is on these ladies' shoulders for so many reasons? We're talking about International Women's Day. We're talking about how important it is to be good, not just skillful, but be good, showcase your talent, sell the fight. And that's from my book. Not everybody is a Muhammad Ali. Not everybody is a Floyd Mayweather. We know that. But these two ladies are right in the middle of the spotlight. How do you feel about that, Clarissa? What kind of pressure are they handling right now?
Man, they're under so much pressure, not just getting ready for each other, but just that crowd. You know, when you haven't fought in front of a crowd of that many. Luckily, I got the experience during the Olympics, but after the Olympics, I haven't been in front of a crowd of that magnitude. And it's going to be so many different people, so many different media, everybody. They're going to have interviews leading up to the fight. They're going to have training. They got to make sure that their diet be disciplined, and then dealing with the psychological war of what they may say to each other, because you never know if Amanda's going to, she says she's not going to talk trash to Katie before the fight, but when you get in camp and you start losing weight, and then you're working hard and
you get hangry,
slap a girl at a weigh-in or something, you never know what can happen. So you also have to deal with the psychological war. And then upon top of that, representing women's boxing, because now you guys are at the top of, you're getting paid a lot of money. You're the main event. You're at a great location. It's like y'all right now are representing women's boxing. Like at that moment, this is what they're saying. You're women's boxing right now. Exactly. So it's like, if they both go out there and they underperform, people are gonna be like, that's women's boxing. But we know that they're both going to perform, and they're going to bring different things to the table, and it's going to be a really, really epic fight. So regardless of who the winner is, people are going to be like, wow, that's women's boxing. So they have a lot on their shoulders, and I'm just, praying that both train very hard and stay disciplined, and just don't get too caught up in trying to please everybody, but do what they've been doing, training, winning, and showing up.
I think, of course, going into a big fight, Serrano and Taylor, they're both going to have pressure, but the one who's going to come out on top is the one who stays mentally strong and mentally focused throughout the whole fight. And it's such a great fight because it's like, it could go either way. I love Amanda and I really like Katie as well. So I feel like it's a fight that whoever just has that little bit of a difference to stand out in the fight and to capitalize on a mistake that somebody else makes is going to be the winner of in the fight. And of course, they have a lot of pressure, but at the same time, I think they have so much excitement and happiness to just be getting paid very well and to be on such a big stage and to represent women's boxing. Yeah, and it's great for all of us because with a stage like this and a big fight like this, it helps all of us in the sport.
These are women at the top of their game. They're coming with everything, and being a champion, it does something to you, right? You have to, it's more than just having a belt. It's legacy. It's what you're proving in the ring and outside the ring. And again, it's going to be awesome. This is what the sport needs. This is what boxing needs. And April 30th is going to be amazing. And again, we're athletes. Let's drop the women. We are athletes performing as boxers. Come anytime we step in the ring.
It's interesting because all three mentioned focus, stress, pressure, and we cannot extricate mental health from boxing. Clarissa, you've been very verbal. You've been very expressive about mental health. Why is it so important for you to bring that to light?
It's important to bring it to light to me because people look at you and they only see the good stuff. They only see the pictures you post or the videos you post or the interviews, but they don't know what's the stress behind the scene. Just speaking for myself, I'm in MMA and boxing. I experienced my first split decision loss, just a few months ago. And then I'm right back in the ring from October to February. I'm right back in the ring. And, I had to pick myself back up because it was like I had never really faced defeat before, in my professional career. But even though with MMA, it's still hurt. And it's like I had to deal with my emotions and deal with how I was feeling. And I did get depressed but it was like I had to deal with it, and I couldn't just go on to the next thing, because when you ignore mental health, it gets worse. You know, it gets worse. And you know, I know from growing up from a young age, I had a lot of anger inside of me, and it took to the point to where I got 17 to where really 18, after winning the Olympics and having all this pressure, that I just kind of went loose, you know, and let everybody know how I felt about everything. And I really had to deal with my own stuff. And when I dealt with how I felt, right, and what I was dealing with, when I actually acknowledged it and I actually started working on it, I just became a better person. And I think mental health is to make everybody kind of be a better person, but make us work on ourselves, because we all got opinions about other people. But sometimes we need to have the opinions about ourselves and fix it.
Like Clarissa said, it's not like it might seem like everything's fine, but really, like, no, I have social anxiety. You might not be able to tell, because I try my best to not show it in a social setting with a lot of people, but I hate going places because I have so much social anxiety, and just like boxing has just given me so much depression and anxiety before. I still deal with it today, you know, and being a female in the sport, it makes it even more difficult, because it's not just the fight that we're thinking about and trying to worry about and focus on. It's the business side. It's you know, trying to be a good role model, trying to keep a good image, and trying to do all these things to make sure that that, you know, we're a perfect person. But of course nobody's perfect, and you just have to come to the realization of just trying to be the best you and be happy with yourself and who you are, like Clarissa said. But yeah, it's very difficult, and the way I deal with that is just pray to God, and he keeps me calm, and he keeps me cool and collected. And yeah, I learn and I grow every day from it.
Boxing is 90% mental. If this isn't right, nothing else is gonna fall, right? So you have to make sure that this is right. And so I make sure this is right. I write in my journal. I speak in the mirror. I talk out loud. I pray, just like Tanisa was saying. And so that builds the fight up for me mentally before I step into the ring. And so that's what gives me the balance and the calmness, because I know what I'm going to do when I step into that ring. So that's how I just have that calmness before I come.
I'm so happy I got a chance to take notes on all your pointers here, because God knows we all need to have those chats with ourselves. And before I let you guys go, this fight is coming up, and we're very aware of what it means, not just for women's boxing, but for boxing in general, and what it means for the history and the legacy of all these women in the sweet science. So I'm going to put you against the ropes, because that's what I do best. I need to know what your prediction is for this upcoming fight between Miss Taylor and Miss Serrano.
My prediction is someone's hands getting raised, right?
Come on, give it to it. It stays just between us and America.
Right. So in depth, you know, as a boxer, I'm in detail, right? If it goes the distance, I'm going for Katie. If it goes, you know, if it doesn't go the distance, I'm going for Amanda for the knockout. Amanda has power. That's her stronghold, I believe. And I feel like Katie has the ring generalship, and she's been in the ring. She's just been in a ring, not at the professional level, but she's been in the ring, and she knows how to utilize a big ring. And so I believe she can just outbox. Not even I wouldn't say outbox. She would just outscore Amanda. So either way, that's how I see it. So I can't really pick a fighter, but if it goes the distance, Katie. If by knockout, Amanda in the earlier rounds.
Okay. What about you, Sanisa? What are your thoughts on that? Prediction. I'm taking note.
Oh, okay. This one's been a difficult decision for me. I like replay what can potentially happen in my head all the time with this fight. And I think that's what makes it such a great matchup, because you're not really sure who can take the win. And I think the fight will go the distance, I believe, that I'm sure of. I mean, Amanda has a knockout power, but I think Katie can use her amateur experience, which is her footwork and her speed and movement to keep away from Amanda's power punches, which what I think would be the right game plan for her to do. If not, you know, if she gets caught, she's definitely gonna feel it coming from Amanda Serrano, because she has that power. So I think, like I said, whoever just has that slight game plan that's going to capitalize on the other person's mistake and can change the fight a little bit, that's who's going to come out the winner.
Come on. Throw a dice. Just one name. Come on.
Oh man. Like she said, like Lisa said, Amanda by knockout, Katie by decision.
Okay, Miss Clarissa Shields, your prediction.
I feel like if Amanda Serrano tries to outbox Katie, it'll go all 12, but Katie will win. I feel like if Amanda goes out there and use what she knows she's great at, the body punching, right? Just the strong shots, the speed, that aggression, I think she can give Katie Taylor fits. Especially if Katie stands, if her plan is to stand in the pocket with Amanda, then I think Amanda punches so hard that if she catch Katie Taylor the right amount of time, that just like Alicia said, it could be by knockout for Amanda. But if Katie has a game plan to get some and get out and be moving and use the ring for 12 rounds, she could possibly get it. But I feel like Amanda Serrano was durable. So I'm going to say it's going to be a split decision for Amanda Serrano.
That's where your heart is. Well, thank you so much. So we got our predictions. Ladies, on behalf of DAZN, I am so happy that you guys joined us for this special celebration of International Women's Day. Thank you for your input. And I am so proud of you. Much success in your careers. And I hope and pray that I get a chance to see you guys many, many times with a whole bunch of accolades and belts. And I get to celebrate with you guys.